buddy?
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Comedy Factory Comedy Chat. Here in Zoom land, we're doing these shows to keep our sanity. I got a special Thursday afternoon delight guest on, my great friend, very funny guy from Funny for Funds, Mike Murray. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Johnny. Oh man, it's so great to see you, buddy. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Yeah, good. You don't look good, but yeah.
I got my iced coffee. I'm doing all right.
Dude, you do. We gotta get together though. We gotta get together. Me and you. Let's go. We'll go for a walk. Get some fresh air. Get some hot wieners, just like old times. I can't wait. This is awesome.
That night we did the gig in Connecticut. That was a fun night. We had a heck of a meal before the show, and then on the way home we stopped the New York System. We had the hot wieners. We get that picture.
I lost money on that night. I lost money. I think we ate in like a train car or something.
Yeah.
Was it?
It was a restaurant. It was in a train car.
It was a caboose or something.
The food was good.
Train, it was amazing.
The food was good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. I believe we had seafood too that night.
Yeah.
I had seafood.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun that night. That was a good audience too. It was a guy, Mark Brennan, I think. Mark Brennan and Linda Belt. We worked with them. It was.
That show was amazing.
Yeah.
I even remember the show. Yeah, that was like there was a few hundred people at that show.
Big crowd. Yeah, big crowd.
Yes.
Yeah, the old days.
And it's funny because we went out to eat before the show, and us fat guys, we think about food all the time. We weren't even digested the food, and we already talking about picking up hot wieners on the way home. We already planning that next meal. It was like, let's do it.
That's one of my favorite pictures with me and you with the hot wieners. That's a crazy awesome picture.
It really is. It really is.
So, Mike, how'd you get in? What made you get into stand-up comedy? I known you forever. I remember when you started, but what made you get into comedy?
I have a really, really strange. I had a really different path to the stand-up stage, and as everybody knows my story, I was deaf until I was 40 years old, and then I had the cochlear implants put in my ears, and then I could hear. So that was at 40 years old, and I always wanted to be a comedian. But when you're a comedian, it's about timing, it's about hearing the crowd, the laugh coming down, it's about delivery, it's about vocal variety. There's so many things that come into play. And I didn't have much of a story, but going from the non-hearing world to the hearing world gives you a lot of stories. And at 45, a friend of mine, Louis Barone, signed me up for a comedy class. We were actually at a cookout, and we were doing street jokes back and forth, you know? And he says, "You think you're funny?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Hang on." And he gets on his phone. This is when smartphones went around. He has a flip phone. He makes a phone call, and it was to Frank O'Donnell. Now, Frank O'Donnell at the time had a class called Comedy Boot Camp.
Yeah.
Comedy Boot Camp, stand-up comedy boot camp. And what it is you go in this class with a bunch of other comic wannabes, and you perfect 5 minutes of your own material. And then they have a graduation show. It's in front of a live studio, a live audience. I was at Twin River. So my friend signed me up, I got a notification from Frank. Didn't know him from a hole in the wall, saying, "You've been signed up for comedy boot camp. First class is whatever, November 2nd. And so I go and I sit there, and it was 10 other comics. Actually, John Morris was in my class with me. John Morris, you've used John a lot. John's an amazing comedian.
Yeah, he's funny.
We actually started comedy on the very same night on the same stage. So it's pretty cool. And he's a big part of Funny for Fun. So at 45, I started comedy, which was ancient. And because of my act was so unique, I got a lot of gigs, which probably pissed off a lot of comics. I would get a lot of gigs because I was different. And then at 50 years old, which was when things really took off.
Yep. You froze, Mikey.
I started fun, and then we raised $6 million.
You're freezing up, Mikey.
And we worked with my really rule right, you know.
So what happened at 50? Because you froze up.
So to the company, it's been a hell of a season.
Frozen up, Mike. I don't know. You're frozen up.
Am I still frozen? Did you get everything I said?
Nah. Start
You're
with 50.
blinking. I could see you blinking.
Yeah, you were frozen up. Now you're back.
You didn't get anything?
I got that. Then you hit 50 years old. And then you're going to say what happened when you hit 50 years old. That's when things really started happening. What happened when you hit 50?
Well, when I hit 50, that's when me and Bill Simon started Funny for Funds. And it just really took off. And we've done over 1,800 comedy night fundraisers, which you've been about a lot part of that. And a lot of your guys work a lot of our shows, and a lot of my guys work a lot of your shows. So together, and now we have 13 branches all along the East Coast that do Funny for Fun shows. And
amazing.
So, it's been an amazing ride. And I could join the long list. I'm sure everybody who comes on your show probably kisses your ass in your ring and says, "Hey, thanks John Perrotta for all you do for all the comics," you know. But it's true. It's true. As soon as I got on into the game of comedy, some of my very first shows were with you. And I think we were on Atwood Avenue. What was the name of the place? So it was Shocks or something. Like next door to
Shock Sports Bar. It's Rupatopia now or something like that.
Yes. I remember me and Christina Thomas working that night, a couple nights over there too. And it was a lot of good shit. Now, at one of those shows, I met Ace Cecito for the first time, which was pretty cool. He was in the bar next door, and he came over and he introduced himself, and I was like, "Oh, you're Ace Cecito." I heard so much about him, and he actually has a Funny for Fun branch now, so that's pretty cool. So I have a lot of great comedy friends, and I'm gonna be honest, I miss it. Last night we had a show, and it was really cool to be around the comedians, just to laugh backstage, have those funny, just cracking up, cracking up. But you know what I enjoyed last night, John? I sat there and watched the sets. I watched the sets, and I was enjoying comedy. I was just enjoying it so much. So it was really cool. And things are doing good. I know we're a ways away from it being back to somewhat normal, but last night was a good sign. People out there, they wanted to laugh, and they were laughing. And granted, it was only 10 people, but it was just such a good time.
Who was in the show? Who was in the show with you?
Mike Katrobis ran it, and he's running like showcase style shows. And for those out there that don't know what a showcase style is, that what it is. It means multiple comics, more than just the standard host, feature, headliner, and you do shorter sets. And the reason why Mike is doing this is so that way we can shake off the rust, shake off the rust, because we haven't performed in 4 months. So, and rust is a real thing. Rust is a real thing. I did a show a couple of weeks ago. I was like a deer in headlights. I forgot what came after Fox Make Noise. I mean, I was like, but then I was happy I wasn't getting paid because I wasn't worth anything that night. But rust is a real thing. And the next night, my set got better. Last night, I had just one little glitch. Nobody noticed. But as a comedian, you're your biggest critic. How many times have you come off stage where you thought, where everybody was rolling, you come off stage saying, it was all right.
Yeah, you knew you did some stuff wrong. Yeah.
Yes, but you know what? I tell younger comics and everything, the audience doesn't know your play set, so don't worry about it. They don't know your set list, so just keep moving. they'll never catch on. And that's what happened last night. When I messed up, I knew I messed up. They didn't know I messed up. So no harm. No harm. But it was really, really cool to see the other guys. James Dorsey didn't even look like James Dorsey. He had a full beard. His hair's jet black. He literally walked right up on us, and we had no idea it was James Dorsey. I'll send you a picture later. It was amazing. It blew our minds. All three of us were just standing there. We're like, "Where's Dorsey?"
Who's this
and he
guy?
was right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good lineup you guys had. That's a good show. You guys had a good show.
Yeah, it was Brad, me, Dorsey, and Mike Katrobis. And they had a couple girls hosting, which were very, very funny. They weren't like stand-up comedians. They were like improv girls, but they roasted us. They roasted all of us. I was laughing so hard. It was just such a good time. But at the end of the day, what was so much fun was the fact that people were out there enjoying themselves, and we were actually doing comedy again. So it was really, really, really cool. So that was a good night last night.
I did a house party in Woonsocket once when I was early on in my career, and there were 10 people. And I went in there and I set up my little amp. There's 10 people. I'm saying to myself, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. This is going to be awful. I'll never forget it. They were like one of the, I still remember that audience, 10 people. They were one of the best audiences I ever had. I had a great set, and I learned that night that no matter whether you got 10 or 300, you got to go in there and do the best you can, and you got to make them laugh. And those 10 people had a blast. You know what I mean? And so I learned.
Yes.
You know?
Some of those shows, and like you'll see comics talk about, like they dread doing a show like in a house or something. I'm like, those are the best, man. Not only does it challenge you, but I think the people putting on the show, they feel special because they got a professional comedian in their house. They feel like Elvis, right? But the cool thing is you can make fun of their house, and they love you for it. You can just pick on, you just like crap all over their house, talk about everybody in the room, and they love it. They just love it. And I think you would agree. One of the coolest things about being a comedian is you can get away with anything almost. Anything. You could literally say anything, and people will laugh. They'll just laugh because they do know that that's your job. Just trying to make them laugh. They're not taking anything serious. But I think it was you. Was it you that did a show? You told me you were doing a show where it was like a mobster or something like that. Who was it? And they were like, get him out of here. They were like, you were afraid they were going to kill you or something very early in your career. Was you doing a show, or was it somebody else?
I know one time I did a bachelor party, and this biker was 7 feet tall. He picked me up in the air. He was going to throw me out the window at the Edgewood Yacht Club in the water. And I was like, I'm up in the air saying, I'm going to die. I can't swim. Can't swim.
Now, hey, he couldn't pick you up over his head this time, no.
I weighed 250
all day. Yeah. Now you would have to be like the strongest man in the world to do that.
I lost 64 pounds till the pandemic hit. Then I gained back about 25. And I was doing great. You were doing great too.
Yeah, look at me now. Look, I'm fat again.
What is there to do on this thing but eat? Everybody's eating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sitting on the couch. And that was my secret. My secret was going to the buffets like Dave's and the Whole Foods and have lunch, have the buffet salad and stuff like that. That was my secret. Go to the office, work until like 1, 2 o'clock, have my salad, then go home for a reasonable supper. That was my secret. And then I lost all the weight, and then this thing happened. It is what it is. But we know what to do. We'll get back on track. When the world gets back on track, we'll get back on track. But while we're still stuck at home, we're gonna be eating that junk. But
I know.
I went to the system the other day too. I went to the system. And it sucks because we like to sit at the counter, and Greg's there. You bullshit with Greg and the guys, and it just sucks getting it to go. It's not the same, right?
Yeah, I went down. I went down there about a week ago. Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah.
It's not the same. You have to sit at the counter. Greg has to be right there. You talk about the show, what happened that night. It's an experience all the way around, and yeah, it's not the same. It's just not the same. We got to get back to that. We got to call the New York system up and say, hey, look, at least open the door for me and John Perrotta tonight, huh? And let us come in like Elvis and sit at the counter and have 3 all the way, a large coffee milk, a BLT. You ever get a BLT too?
BLT, cheeseburgers, grilled cheese and tomato. When I go in there, when I go in there, Mike, I swear to God, 5 guys get busy. French fries, the burger guy, the other guy's making a BLT, the guy's making a dogs, who's pouring a coffee milk. I got them all busy. I spent like $25.
Hey, how many times have you gone to the New York system after a show, and people from the show are at the system too?
Yeah, it's happening. Yeah,
happens a lot. And you know, I grew up right down the street from the New York system.
In Onleyville?
Yeah, I grew up in Onleyville. First 15 years, and Onleyville Boys Club was about a block away from the New York system.
Yeah. I remember what Onleyville Boys Club. Yeah.
And now here's a trivia question for you. Now, Burger King in Onleyville. What was Burger King before it was Burger King? You should know this because you're an old dude.
Was it Burger Chef? Kelly's Hamburgers?
Kelly's!
Kelly's Hamburgers.
It was Kelly's Hamburgers.
They were good. They were good.
You're speaking from experience, yeah. And yes, Kelly's Hamburgers. Used to go to there. But I think I figured out maybe it was a couple years ago, because I grew up over there, and then I was going so often. I could literally guesstimate how many hot weenies I had in my life, and the number was like 78,000 or something. It was like, all right, so if I get 3 all the way in a coffee and milk, and if I did that like at least once a week, then think about it, and that number adds up. That adds up. So 52. Think about it, John.
Yeah.
I'm 57 years old.
You're 57 now?
Yeah, 57. And so if I went once a week, right? So even just
I went 2 or 3 times a week sometimes. I love the
math,
place.
John. Do the math. Do the math.
Thousands.
Even if, yeah. So 150 dogs a week, a year, right? Times 30 years. So 30 times 150.
I remember going in there with my father when I was a kid. We wait in line and get a bunch of hot weenies, and they must have been a quarter back then or something. You know what I mean?
They were 25 cents.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were like 25 cents, and my father used to take us in there too. I bet you, without a shadow of a doubt, you and your father, me and my father, crossed paths in that place. There's no doubt in my mind.
At least a couple of times. At least. Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, I probably walked in and walked out because you were keeping all the workers busy with your order.
and you worked at the Providence Journal, right? Did you know my mother? Was my mother, Teresa, Terry, worked at the Journal. I think you told me you knew her, didn't you?
Yes, I did. She worked in the classified department.
Yeah.
So I knew of you way before I even had an inkling of doing comedy.
Are you serious?
I'm positive, because she used to have your flyers for your shows. And she used to post your flyers up in the break rooms and stuff. And we see your flyers at restaurants all over the place, the John Perrotta. And I don't know if you people listening out there, when John's flyers, they're really nice now because Vinny Jack does them. But before, it looked like a ransom note. It looked like a ransom note. It was all cut out pictures. And it was a million names. It was like, all right, this guy's putting on crazy shows. And it was funny because I would see them, and it would always be but Terry was an amazing woman. I knew all the women in the classified department, and they always had, a lot of people don't realize this. They had fake names. They had stage names because to keep their real name private because some crazy customers would go after them or whatever if they had a problem with their classified ad. What was your mother's stage name in the classified department?
My mother went
It was
by
always Miss. It was always Miss something.
Terry Perry. Terry Perry was my mother's stage name at the Journal.
So Perry, yeah. So Perry was short for Perrotta. So Terry Perry. Yes, I was at the Journal for 18 years, man. 18 years. Did I ever tell you the story that I drove through a building with a Journal truck?
No.
I ever tell you that story?
I don't know. Tell me.
All right, so I was driving for the I was inserting, driving, that type of deal, and I had a route. I was only 19 years old, and I didn't even have my own car. And the Journal taught me how to drive the trucks, and you remember how the drivers used to drive like maniacs. So that's how I learned how to drive. So one night I had a route out in Pasco, Burrville, and it was pouring out, and they gave me a brand new van. It was like a van, and I don't know if you knew this, but there was only just one seat, the driver's seat. And all the bundles of the papers would be right here. So I'm flying down this road in Cemetery Hill Road in Burrville, right? It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's pouring out. I didn't know how to drive. I didn't know you had to drive careful in the rain, right? I didn't know you had to do that. So I'm flying down this road and I start losing control of the truck, all right? Yeah. But I keep my cool. And the back of the truck is like fishtailing back and forth, like this, right? And I'm like, I'm keeping my cool. By the time I got control of the van, John, I was off at the side of the road, like on the side of the road, taking down little stuff, nothing big, just little trees. I was taking down shit like that. And then by the time I got complete control, I was coming right at a telephone pole, like right at it. I saw the telephone pole. I cut the wheel real hard. I sideswiped the telephone pole. It's a true story. I sideswiped the telephone pole. I'm going about 50 miles an hour. Sideswiped the pole. It knocked me off the seat of the van. I was on the floor of the van going downhill in the pouring rain in Pasco, Burrville, Cemetery Hill Road, mind you. Down the hill. I'm still keeping my cool.
Oh, man.
I said, holy shit. I stopped getting up off the floor, like real fast, right? I look out the windshield and I see this building. A building. I duck again. I went right through the front of this gas station and halfway out the back.
Oh,
I missed
man.
the gas pumps by this much.
Jeez.
Dude,
you wouldn't be here now.
The windshield was on top of me. All 2x4s were on top of me. Glass everywhere.
You should have went on workers' comp, Mike.
I should have. So I'm like, holy shit. I had to kick the door to get out, right? Now it's 4 o'clock in the morning. What did I do? I grabbed my coffee. My coffee was still in the coffee holder in the van. I grabbed my Dunkin' Donuts coffee. And that was years ago when the coffee, they didn't have the special top. Remember you used to have to rip the top of your teeth and like pull a little tab back and make it yourself. It was one of those. I grabbed my coffee. Now I'm in the middle of a gas station. And you're saying to yourself, how do I get out of here? Well, maybe I can. You know how you get out of there, John? Through the giant hole I just caused with the van. So there's a big giant hole in the wall. I walked out of the hole in the wall. The van's behind me. There's smoke and everything, and just wood everywhere, glass everywhere. I didn't have a scratch on me. I come out. I'm going like this. And across the street was a nursing home. All the lights were on, and there was all people in the window. And then it was like, but here's the funniest part, right? They take me, the police take me back to the Journal and everything. And I thought I was in trouble. I thought I was fired and everything because I just went through a building with a brand new truck.
Jeez.
Brand new truck, yes. So I get back, I'm in the office with all the bosses and they're laughing their ass off. And I'm like, what's so funny? And they were, no word of a lie. You'll probably remember this. This was going back. I was 19 years old. All right. This is like 1982. The slogan the slogan for the Journal at the time. You ready for this? It hits home every day. They were saying, Mike, when we say it hits home, it's just a saying. You don't actually mean go through the building. So, till this day, people still talk about that accident. It was in the paper. The Journal didn't put it, but the Woonsocket Call. I got to try to get it. The Woonsocket Call put it. It was a big picture. You could see the Journal truck all the way inside the building, and you could see Journal Bulletin on the back of the van. And then the name of the story was Sudden Stop.
Sudden stop.
So
You're crazy.
I don't forget it. It was a crazy story, but and right then and there, John, I knew I was gonna live a long life because I said I really thought it was time to go. When I was on the floor of that truck, I was like, that's it, I'm all done. And you know, like say when time slows down, that's a real thing. It seemed like forever, that whole ride.
That's scary, scary stuff.
I want to hear another thing.
Yeah.
It was the last time I ever got in an accident. I haven't been.
That was the last time you've been in an accident?
That's correct.
Well, I've been in a million. I haven't been in any in quite a while, but I had a truck hit. I was on the way to a gig in November 2017. I had a tractor trailer whack me on 93. And I had
holy shit.
That was a mess.
You must have totaled it.
Did damage in the back. He did damage in the back of my car. I went to the gig. It was at Capo. Ryan Kopp booked it. Will Noonan got me a spot. They had a dinner thing. It was a Monday night, so I don't know. They were doing it for a while. They still do it, but probably not now. But it was called Capo, place in Boston. I called up and said, I'm going to be late. The cop came. When he left, I rode to the gig. My car was still shaky, but I rode. I made it to Boston. I still did the gig. That's why when my son told me in January there's a pandemic coming, you got to stock up on food, you got to cancel your shows. I said, David, I'm going to cancel now. I said, I canceled 2 shows in 30 years. I was really sick. I said, I get in accidents, I go to the gig. I said, I don't cancel.
Yeah.
He said, you don't understand, Dad. This pandemic's coming. Your shows will be canceled. And I thought he was kidding. So the last night, I had Asia Grill, March 14th. He wanted to cancel. There. Yeah, he wanted to cancel. You were there. And the owner wanted to cancel. I said, Charlie, let's do it. We had 85 reservations. 27 people came. We always packed the Asia Grill. So I knew then that night, Mike, we're in trouble. I knew we were in trouble, you know?
Yeah, I was at that. I did that show, and yes.
Think of how busy you and Billy were, and all Funny for Funds. How busy I was. The 27th, I did Lemongrass. In February, I sold that out. The 28th, I had Spirito. So I think you were in that one.
You had 2 shows with Billy that were sold out, that were coming up the following week.
Yeah, March 19th, I had a show with Billy at Lemongrass, was sold out. I mean, things were for January, February, because there wasn't much snow. I said, this is going to be a great year. We were cranking. You guys were killing it. You were coming to my gigs. I'm going to your gigs. We were doing phenomenal. I had more gigs January, February. I had a ton of work. I said, it's going to be a great year. And then the virus hit. Unbelievable.
And it's a tough time. And you're finding a lot of comics are reinventing themselves right now. They're reinventing themselves to doing stuff like this, to Zoom, to keep things light. Maybe a few people out there watching it, they're laughing a little bit. We're taking their mind off things. That's our job as comedians. That's what we do. People need to laugh more than ever. We as humans, the humans are an amazing species. We beat everything. We've lasted this long. We're going to beat this also. Is there a timetable? We don't know the timetable, but we do know without a fact, we will beat this. We'll come out of this, and then you know what? We'll be stronger than ever. This is our generation. Our generation's depression.
Yeah.
You know, so our great grandparents went through that stuff. Now it's our thing, and something that we're gonna pass down.
The only thing that bothers me, I started comedy at 33, which that's relatively late. You started at 45, but I started at 33 years old, and
I didn't know you started that late.
Yeah, I've been doing it 20. Well, I did it at 25 like 3 times, and I quit. I came back at 33. But I'm trying to say is I was and it was when I started. I was young. I was 33, and now I'm 62. So in other words, if I was like 40 and this happened and we lose a year or two, it's not a big deal. But I think when you're getting near 60 and you lose a year or two, it's more of a big deal because let's face it, I'm in the twilight of my career. I mean, God willing, I live to 80 and I can do comedy to 70. Who knows? But I was really doing well, like you were. But now I'm 62. If this thing doesn't come back till I'm 63, 64, like the way it was, I'm losing valuable years because I'm not getting any younger. So that's the thing that bothers me. That bothers me.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before on the phone a few weeks ago, and we were talking hypotheticals, and I said, John, even if it was over for you right now, like there was no coming back, you gotta be content with what you've done as far as comedy and the comedy community and everything, what you brought to all those people, content in what you did. Man, it was a great ride.
Yeah, I had a good run.
It's my personal opinion, it's not over. It's not over. We're gonna come back better than ever, because why? Here's why. People need to laugh more than ever. And I truly, truly believe that. And we're gonna, and when we come back, we'll be ready for it. We'll be ready for it. And we're gonna have some more stories,
I can't wait. There was nothing like doing a show tonight. I'm with Mike, I'm with Rock and Joe, whoever, Billy, and we'd go do these shows and we'd have laughs. And it would be before the show, some laughs. During the show, we have some laughs. I had like February 21st, my birthday. I didn't have anything booked that night. I asked
you. We gave you a cake.
Yeah, I asked
you
Billy.
I said, cake that night.
I said, can you give me a guest spot? I want to perform on my birthday. And you guys put me in the show. Were nice enough to put me in the show. I did a short set. I had a good time. And then you and Billy surprised me, came out with the birthday cake. It was Billy's father's birthday, too, I think, or his mother-in-law. His
mother-in-law's birthday, yep. And the bartender. It was like 3 people.
Yeah, and the bartender.
And you ate all the cake and didn't share it with anybody.
But I remember that. It's things like that makes the business special, you know?
We got you a Carvel cake that said for a whale of a dad. Emphasis on whale. Remember that? That was when you knew you were the shit, when you got a birthday cake from Carvel. Remember they were over on Post Road?
Yeah.
That was the shit. You couldn't get them anywhere else. You had to go there. You had to go to Carvel and get that cake, and there was nothing better than that cake. And it was the same thing. Every cake was the same. It was just a different shape.
And that guy did the commercials. That guy did the commercials, Carvel. I forget the slogan. Every day is Tuesday at Carvel or whatever. That guy did the commercial. Tom Carvel.
You know who has a really good cake? We're talking about ice cream cakes there. Twin Oaks has the best, the mud pie cake.
Yeah,
you ever get that?
No. Oh. You know what I'm hooked on now, Mikey? Grape nut pudding at Dave's Market. You go.
Wait, time out.
Listen to me. Go get the grape nut pudding.
What are you, 90 years old?
Hey, go get the grape nut pudding and put the whipped cream on it. I got one more piece. I'm going to have it after the show. This stuff is killer. It's killer.
It's not. It's a killer in the nursing home. It's not. What's next? Tapioca pudding? Oh, my God. I've lost all respect for you. Grape nut pudding. Are you nuts? Why do you think they put whipped cream on it?
Hey.
To kill the taste of the grape nut pudding.
I went to Dave's Market yesterday. I bought grape nut pudding, whipped cream, carrot cake. I bought some stuffed cherry peppers. I bought Dave's got some dinners. They make their own dinners, fettuccine Alfredo. And I bought a couple of dinners. Dave's got some good. I love Dave's Market. I don't go to Stop and Shop.
What market you go? Which one's the Dave's near you?
Pontiac Ave. I love Dave's Market. The only thing is, they can't do the bar anymore where they had all the food and
that was the
salads and the guys.
You're never going to see buffets again. You're never going to see buffets again.
This is my problem. Yeah, because I had all these dinner shows like Lemongrass, Spirito.
Yeah.
They're all everything right now is down. I don't know when these dinner shows. It's going to be a while before they come back because I did a lot of dinner shows. That's what I did mainly.
They'll come back. They'll come back. You know. But hey, what I don't think you'll ever see again is buffets. I don't believe with a lot of things that's going on.
They might
I
have
don't
to
think
have a
you're gonna see
sit-down
buffets
dinner.
anymore.
They might have to have a sit-down dinner
That's
where they
all.
serve them.
That's all, which is fine, you know. But
Yeah.
But remember Ponderosa?
I
Ponderosa
I
used
used
to
to
go
take
there.
my kids there, yeah.
That was the shit, man. You used to go there, and then we get the steak, all you can eat, and then the buffet. Oh.
I used to like the Swedish meatballs, Mikey. I'd have about 20 of them. The little Swedish meatballs. I keep going back.
You used to push people out of the line to get to the Swedish meatballs. Nobody would touch the Swedish meatballs when John Perrotta was there because you were eyeballing them. Like you were giving them the evil eye.
Hey, when I worked at the prison, they used to give correctional officers half price of Ponderosa. It was already cheap anyway.
No way.
It was already cheap anyway. They charge you half
$2 all you can eat.
Half price. You go in and spend $3-4. You're eating for 5 days. It's crazy.
That's why they went out of business.
That's why they went out of business. My kids used to like the ice cream. They had ice cream. I mean, they used to give you all kind of stuff for like, it was like $6, $7, $8 there. You could eat like a king. You know what I mean?
Hey, you're from Cranston all your life, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Because didn't you go to Cranston East?
Yeah.
All right. I got a blast from the past from you. My father used to take us there. What was the name of the restaurant? And right now it's a bank on the corner of Reservoir and Park Avenue. What restaurant was there before?
Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. He was Merv Griffin's sidekick. That's how old I am now. I remember.
Wow. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips was the shit. That was awesome. We used to. Now, how crazy is this? That we live in the Ocean State. Seafood's our thing, and we had a fast food restaurant for fish and chips. But right down the street, Stadium Fish and Chips, the best.
Yeah.
You ever go? Have you been in there?
Stadium, yeah.
You go in there. It's the same girls working there. And remember how they used to wrap up the fish and chips to go?
Yeah.
With the newspaper.
The newspaper. I know the owner and his wife. I was in there.
We survived the newspaper, John. We're gonna survive COVID.
I went in there 6-8 months ago, and the owner, I think his name's Greg. My whole family were going there. My mother, my aunts, uncles, my grandfather, like my whole life. And I had an uncle from New Orleans. He used to come and visit. And every time he came, we had to bring him there. He grew up here, and we had to bring him there. And they told me they were going to sell it in a year. That was about 6, 7, 8 months ago. But he wasn't going to sell the Stadium Fish and Chip name. You'd have to come up with your own name, but he's going to sell the business in a year. So it's coming up on that. I don't know how much longer he's going to be there. He's looking to sell at some point. Yeah, because I've been going there for years.
Because they haven't changed. They haven't changed anything, and that's why it's cool. Just like Twin Oaks. Look,
the French fries are the best.
Exactly.
Yeah, the French fries and the fish at the stadium are awesome. Yeah.
Everything was the best there, and so this is the old school things. And I know you like the Big Cheese. The Big Cheese is right down the street from your house.
Yeah, we go there. You know what I like? I like Tommy's Pizza in Cranston and Tommy's Pizza in Chuckstone Ave. They got good pizza.
I'm going to tell you the best thing about Tommy's Pizza right now. The pepperoni. How it's a small, spicy pepperoni that curls up on the edges. Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
And I drove by Tommy's the other day on Chuckstone Avenue, and I was trying to think of how long it's been there. It's been like 50 years, right?
Long time.
Because I'm 57, and I grew up in Onleyville. It's been there since I can remember, and when so long before that, we used to walk to the Castle Theater too, which was right down the street. We used to walk to the Castle Theater. I went to see Jaws at the Castle Theater. I couldn't hear shit when I was scared to death. I wouldn't even go into the water. I want to take a bath, John. I want to take a bath. Till today, I don't take a bath because I'm scared of the shock.
My father took me to see Bonnie and Clyde, like I'm talking in the 60s at the Castle Theater.
Your father knew Bonnie and Clyde personally.
I know, right? So Rhode Island, we come from the same, we can remember all these old places that used to be around, and you know what I mean?
Yep. I'm going to tell you one place I really, truly wish, and you're going to agree with me, I know right out, that I truly, because I grew up in Onleyville, 13 years, then I moved to Silver Lake.
Yeah.
The place I miss the most, the 1025 Club. Did that sting right now?
From when I was young, I went there at functions, and then I started doing parties there. As a comedian, I did different parties. I tried to talk them to doing a show. I don't think we ever did a show, but I did a lot of parties there, a lot of functions, birthday parties, bachelor parties. So I had a good time. Yeah, I had a good. That was a great place, 1025 Club.
The pasta. How much pasta did you eat there? How much pasta?
Good stuff. Good stuff.
That was the best place.
Mike, you always, sometimes you and your wife will post joking around. You said she stuck by you through all your business ventures, and you had so many business ventures through the years. How many businesses were you in before you hit the jackpot with Funny for Funds? How many? You were in all kind of businesses.
It doesn't stop. I'm legit thinking about starting new businesses today. I'm gonna keep it under wraps because she's in the room next door working. I don't want her to hear me. But I've had so many business ideas, and I've had so many businesses because of my hearing loss. You know, I left the Journal because after 18 years because they wouldn't hire me, promote me because of my hearing. You know, and back then there was no such. They didn't call it discrimination. They would tell you right to your face because you're deaf. So I knew I had to do my own thing if I wanted to progress. So that set off a string of things that I did. I've done everything, John. I've had a carpet cleaning business. Here's how I started my carpet cleaning business. I was working at the Journal in the mailroom. At the time, there was 3,000 employees. There was somebody that cleaned my carpets, and I said, in my apartment, I said, oh, you did a good job. I'll call them back again when I want them done. I said, oh, a lot of people must say that. I said, I work with 3,000 people. So I bought a carpet cleaning machine for $3,000 for a portable machine, which was a lot of money back in 1983. I mean, like 85.
A lot of money.
I had a Pinto hatchback. All right, a Pinto. I took the passenger seat out. I took the back seat out, and it made it like a little van. So the machine went right in the side passenger seat, and all the supplies in the back, the wand, the hose, and everything. And I was doing carpets, and I built it up. Next thing you know, I had 500 regular carpet cleaning customers.
Jesus.
So I bought a truck mount machine, like a van with the machine in it, truck mount machine.
So you were doing awesome. You were doing awesome with that.
Yeah, I was doing great. I did really well with it. A lot of people still talk about my car. So I talk about the carpet cleaning in my set, and it's a true story. I used to clean carpets.
Was that a true story?
Yeah, absolutely. Cleaned a blind man's carpets. And I was like, how do you know they're dirty? I said, I don't even think I'm going to clean his carpets. I think I'm just going to run the machine and read a magazine. So that was a true story. So I had a carpet cleaning business, then I had a janitorial business. And I had like 18 offices that I kept clean. And then I had a power washing business where I would do like awnings and sidewalks. Then I had a property managing business where I would manage properties. I worked at an X-rated video store, and then it was Excitement Video. And
were there ever any deaf porno stars?
No.
I never heard of a deaf porno star.
And I was pissed off because none of the videos were in closed caption. So anyways,
you're funny. You make me laugh, man. You're crazy.
So I had a business idea. I said, hey, look, I'm going to buy some wholesale pornos and sell them at the flea market. Yeah. So one time I bought like $3,000 worth of wholesale porn, and I opened up a spot down in the flea market, and I was there for like 4 weekends. I sold like 4 videos. It was a total bust because I was getting beat out by the guys across from me selling bootleg videos. So it was really, really total bust. That was one of. So then I had a consignment shop. I had a consignment shop where it was called A to Z Consignment Shop. So I would sell people, bring stuff, and I would sell it. I was doing the yard sale stuff, the eBay stuff with the consignment shop. Then I had a hot dog cart. I had a hot dog cart once and a concession stand. I had a concession stand with the Johnson Little League, but then I had a hot dog cart, and I was called the Hot Dog Guys with a Z. And I used to go to all festivals, and I had a spot down in front of AAA on Silver Spring Street.
Yeah.
And but I had a deal with Soggy's. I knew the owner of Soggy's Hot Dogs. I reached out to them. I said, I love Soggy's. I would love to sell just Soggy's on my hot dog cart. They said, great. They gave me a great deal on the hot dogs. They gave me a Soggy umbrella. And then they used to pay for all my entry fees in like the festival. So my hot dog cart, I post it every now and again. I love my hot dog cart. And so
how long did you do the hot dog cart?
A couple of years. But this was before food trucks were popular, and people would bust your balls a lot back then with a cart. But now you can put a cart anywhere, and you can put a truck anywhere. I didn't benefit from that because it was so long ago. Then, but my worst business that my wife didn't like was I got into magic. I went to a place. It was a dinner. We were having dinner on the hill. And you know how, like, when you have dinner on the hill, you have dinner in one place and then you go somewhere else for dessert?
Yeah.
So we went across the street to this other place for dessert, and they just did desserts, like prestige and all that stuff. And there was a kid walking around doing close-up magic. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I just got my hearing. I said to my wife, I said, that kid's probably making a ton of money. He's probably getting paid and getting tips. I said, I could do that. So then I sought somebody to teach me how to do magic. So I was doing magic. Then next thing you know, I was doing kid show magic. I had a rabbit and everything, John. I had all kinds of tricks. I spent thousands of dollars on magic. And there's a funny story, right? My wife didn't know I was spending thousands on magic. But she found out. And here's how she found out. You ready? And you've been married like 5 times, so you know where I'm going with this. So, you know how, like, when you buy something, so let's say I bought this bottle of water, and I would tell my wife that I paid $1 for it, when in reality, I really paid $500 for it. So how much did you pay for that water? She would say. I would say $1. She would say, you paid $1 for that? I can't believe you spent that much money on that.
Kathy.
I brought it down from $500 to $1, and it was still too much. That was the thing. There was a magic store in Peabody, Mass., the only magic store around. So I would drop my kids off at school, get in my car and drive an hour and a half, like an hour to Peabody, right? An hour. It was about an hour with rush hour and everything. And spend all day in the magic shop, just buying stuff and learning tricks, and then race back home to pick up my kids. And then bring my magic shit down cellar, where she couldn't see all the stuff I had. It looked like David Copperfield was living in my basement. I had cards, balls, everything. It was like Skip Daniels wanted to rent my house. You know what I'm saying?
Did you get pretty good at the magic?
I was doing so well with the magic that other magicians were getting mad because I was starting to take gigs away from them. So kid shows is where the money was. And I was always an entrepreneur. So I said, hey, there's no money in adult shows, but there's money in the kid shows. And Skip will tell you that too.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, in my first year, I ended up getting hired to perform at Macy's in the middle of the mall for a Christmas celebration. So it's pretty. I got pictures. I'll send them to you. And but here's how I got caught with magic. You ready? So I'm in Peabody, and I'm leaving Peabody to come home. I stopped at a gas station. I put my debit card in the machine. As soon as I put my debit card in the machine, I went, oh no. Because my wife, she every time there's a transaction done on the debit card, a siren goes off on her desk, So I get a phone call. What are you doing in Peabody? Right? John, I should have just said that I was meeting a hooker because she was so mad that I was spending money on magic in Peabody, Mass. I said, so it was like a funny running joke. No, it wasn't funny at the time, but now
it's funny now.
It's funny now because we talk about all these things that I did, and but I do miss the hot dog cart of all. I ate half the profits, but I still had a good time. But the magic, I ended up selling off my magic to Tommy James. He's a very popular kids show magician. And Lon Sorrell, Lon Sorrell?
Yeah, I worked with him years ago. Yeah.
Yep, Lon Sorrell and Tommy James bought most of my stuff from me. And so it's really cool. So every now and then my my wife will bring up magic, and she hated it. She hated it because I used to dress up like Liberace. It was like I had the sequin vest. I had everything. I had a rabbit, John. I had a rabbit. When I started comedy, I really took the class because I said, all right, this is cool. I'll take the class, learn how to do jokes from my magic act. But then, as you know, once I did that first show at Twin River, my wife comes up to me after and says, this is where you belong, not magic. This is where you belong. And I had like 2-3 shows still on the books in magic. And then I realized how much easier it was for comedy, where you just have to show up. You have to just make sure you're showered. You just show up and you walk up there. With magic, I had to iron stuff, make sure I put all the tricks together, make sure my rabbit didn't die. I had to do a lot of stuff like that. So comedy was a lot easier. And
I remember when they did the big story on you in Providence Journal, and then you were at Twin River performing. You headlined Twin River and you packed it. I remember that. That was a great week for you.
That was a great week. That was and what you probably don't know about that show is when they did the story, of course they talked about my hearing loss and everything. There was at least 19 audiologists in that audience that night. And there was like 3 people with cochlear implants in that audience that night, who I'm so friendly with now. So that's when it hit me that my message was a little strong. It was pretty strong. And people kind of come out and they want to see somebody who dealt with the adversity and overcome that adversity. So it was pretty cool. I made a lot of friends with that night. And there was 200 people there. It was like the first sellout they've had in 3 years. I think Ben Haig was the most recent sellout. It was 3 years earlier. They were pretty happy about that. And I sold it out again. So, and it's been pretty cool. I've been a lucky guy. I'm a blessed guy.
Yeah, you had a great career. You had a great career.
Happy. I won't change a thing.
Yeah, you had a great career. I remember you coming up to me, telling me about your idea for Funny for Funds. And I've been doing comedy for quite a while, and I do 5-10 fundraisers a year, and I do bachelor parties and host parties. I do it all. But when you told me you were going to specialize in this company, Funny for Funds, I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought I didn't think nothing of it because I do fundraisers.
Yeah.
A lot of comics do fundraisers. I didn't put it together that you were going to specialize in fundraisers and concentrate on that and how it was going to take off. It's unbelievable what you guys did with that business, you and Billy. It's phenomenal.
And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
I remember we were at a show not long ago. It was about 6 months ago. We were doing a show. Now, correct the people if I'm wrong. It was at Club Jokes. Club Jokes. It was about 6 months ago, and you were helping me. You just started helping me with the raffle, and that's when it we did like 3 raffles, and you whispered in my ear, and you're like, dude, I can't do this anymore. You gotta take over.
I've done a lot of parties where I do the raffles and stuff. But you guys had a lot of raffles. I'm like, I can't do all this, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the part people don't see. We'll do all that. We did all that we MC the whole thing. We do all the talking. We do live auctions, and we do the raffles, and we totally work side by side with the event coordinator. We create their flyer, their Facebook event page, online ticket sales, and we have live pep rallies with their group and give them all the tips and information.
You guys really created
behind the scenes that they don't see. Yeah.
An unbelievable business. I'm happy with what I've done with the Comedy Factory. Yeah. But like I said, I do some fundraisers. I do bachelor parties. I do clubs. Whereas you guys, you do other gigs too, but you mainly specialize in the fundraising.
But the cool part is how, even though we both did different things, we incorporated each other.
Yeah.
So you became a big part of our talent. Like Rock and Joe became not only a big part of our talent, but he also became like what we call a showrunner. He would help run the show and do the raffles, the auctions, and stuff like that. Very valuable part of the business. And so and then vice versa, we would be on your lemongrass shows and Asia Grill shows and stuff like that. So it was a good time. I remember you didn't you open up for our Hall of Fame show?
Yeah. When you guys got inducted, Funny for Funds. Yeah. People. I'm not a great roaster, so I said, I'll do a set. So I did like a 10-minute set. And it was fun. I had a good time. That was a good night. Yeah. That
whole show was so much fun. With Charlie Hall hosting it, Rock and Joe, all the roasties. John Morris really killed it that night and just grilled me and Billy. It was so much fun, and that's all. That's on YouTube actually. If you use YouTube, Funny for Fun's Hall of Fame roast, it's there. The whole video. It's like 10 hours long, but it's there. It's so funny.
Think about how many great comedians.
We had a good time.
Yeah, think of how many great comedians come from this area, like Little Rhode Island. John Morris, you, Billy Simons, Rock and Joe.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. We've had a lot of great comics, Ace Aceto. The list goes on and on. And you could think of so many people that have done comedy from this area that have done so well.
Our state is so talented.
Yeah.
So talented. I'm so proud of all the comedians that come out of here, and it just really is cool. I always say, and you'll probably say it, I'll put my show up against my lineups against anybody. I'm that confident in the show, and that's something we pass along to our clients too. Like, hey, look, you can get a national act. Not many people, the lay person doesn't. They don't know names. And they just want to laugh. They're gonna get this. You put me, you, and Bill on the show. They're gonna think it's the greatest show they ever had. Am I right?
Yeah, we've
had a show like that. And we've done a ton of them. And we've done a ton of them. So what's the funniest quote? The cool thing is sometimes the people say the craziest things to you on the way out. Because you stand near the door, you shake hands and say, thank you for coming. And my funniest compliment that I got one time from a woman, she's shaking my hand. She goes, you're like almost like a real comedian. Almost like a real comedian. And then and the lady say, it wasn't bad as I thought it was gonna be. All right, thank you. And then I don't know if you remember this. When I first started, I used to have a little magnet I used to give away. It was a little magnet. It said "Caution Deaf Comic."
Yeah.
Remember those yellow comics?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I used to do this little spiel at the end of my set with a magnet. I would say, all right, I normally charge $39.99 for these magnets, but tonight they're free if you show me your tits. and I would get a laugh from that. But then there was one after one show, I was doing a show up in Massachusetts. I said that line, and this lady comes up to me. John, she had to be at least 80, right? At least 80. We're in the back of the room, and she lifts her shirt. She had no bra on, right? Remember the scene in something about Mary Magda in the window when she was naked? That's what it looked like. So she lifts her shirt because she wants a magnet, right? So I'm like, so what do I say? What do I say to her? Oh, the only thing I could think of was this. Nice. I gave her two magnets.
Crazy, Mike.
That's so funny. Oh my God. And that's so we have so many stories of funny shows and crazy things that have happened and everything like that. And I wouldn't change it for the world, man. Everything is you have these shows that like you have like shows that nothing goes right, then you have shows where nothing goes wrong, and it's everything in between. But you wouldn't change it for the world, anything. Every single experience is amazing, and we live a good life. We have a good. Being a stand-up comic is so rewarding, you know. But here's the thing: you got to remember, you never know who's in the audience. Somebody might be going to have a bad day, a bad week. They really need to laugh. Every now and then, I'm sure you get an email or somebody says, you know, I wasn't going to go out that night, but I'm glad I did. I was going through this time. Something happened. Somebody passed away. And thank you for making me laugh. So imagine, you get those letters every now and then, but imagine how many people are thinking that. So we bring something to the table. It's our responsibility to be there for them to laugh. And it's going to be our responsibility when we come out of this whole pandemic to be there again for them. And then it will also be our responsibility to go to the New York System afterwards and put the people to work down there.
I know, right? Hey, we're gonna wrap things up, Mike. You've been a great guest. We covered a lot of old institutions in Rhode Island, your businesses, Funny for Funds, all the great times we had doing comedy together. You're a great friend.
Arthur Treacher,
Kelly's Hamburgers. Kelly's Hamburgers.
Yeah.
You got anything you got?
I'm hungry now.
I'm hungry now. Anything you got to say? You want to wrap things up, Mike?
Like, I just want to say, John, I think we're going to come out of this stronger than ever, and laughs are going to be had, and we're going to be back on track and just pick up right where we left off, buddy. It's coming. I feel it. All right? So let's do this. Let's keep putting out there funny content. Keep people's minds off all of this stuff. And laughter, it truly is the best medicine. So let's keep the ball rolling.
Yeah. You had a great career, Mike. You're a great friend, and always look forward to working with you whenever we work together. We always have a lot of laughs. We have a good time. You're a great guy.
There's no better time, man. No better time when you got a lineup and you know it's gonna be a good time. When you see who's gonna be on the lineup, it's gonna be a good night. Except for the night we gave you a cake and I didn't even get one bite of it. We had a problem that night. John.
We'll get some wieners and we'll forget about it.
Thank you for having me. I know.
Mike.
Thank you for having me on the show. And tell Terry I said hello.
You guys,
if you ever need anything, you give me a call. Let's get together.
Tell Kathy I said hello. You guys, your whole family, stay healthy. That's the main thing right now. Stay healthy. Yep. God bless you. You're the man. Mike Murray, Funny for Funds. Thanks for coming on, Mike.
Thank you, Johnny. I'll talk to you later. And come to my next magic show.
I'll do that, but I'm not driving a truck in Chapatcha with you. I'm not driving a Chapatcha with you in the rain. I'll see you, brother.
Providence Journal. It hits home every day. Bye-bye.
All right, brother.